everyone, I'm back to share some quick and easy punny cards that can be used in a gift set or individually, and today I'm using Pink and Main's Breakfast Fun stamp set and coordinating dies. For the cards, I'll be creating 4-bar cards instead of the standard A2 size cards, and these cards are measured at 7 inches by 4 and 7/8, and those are folded in half. For the front panel, I'll be trimming down pieces of craft cardstock measured at 3.5 by 4 and 7/8. And since I'll be taking a lot of the same steps for all of the cards today, I'll show you an example of one or two and then move on to the next step. Otherwise, the video's a lot longer. When you do mass produce card sets, it's a lot faster to do and you end up with a ton of cards. I'm going to also be utilizing the entire stamp set, and I think the card set turned out really cute and punny. For the front card panel, I'll be stamping the images using Simon Says Stamp white pigment ink around the border of the craft cardstock, and I'm using an acrylic block because it's just a lot easier to stamp multiple images instead of adding them and removing them in the stamp positioner, and this just makes it a lot faster to do. And the acrylic block I'm using is from Pink and Main, and it has these curves on the side that help you hold them more securely and you have a better grip on them. So I really like them, and plus they're pink. So for each of the card panels, I'm using one of the images from the set, and there are a total of 10 images, and two of them actually go together, and it's the bacon and eggs. So we'll be creating a total of 9 cards today. And we're only stamping along the border because we'll be adding another layer on top. So only the border will be showing. And because of that, I'm staggering the images just so it doesn't look like it's too straight or perfect. And plus, there are some times where my images are staggered and they come very close to touching because I don't plan this out. I'm just stamping wherever I can, and it just works out that they're not touching. So I do the same thing for all the images in the card and end up with a total of 9 cards. I'm personally not a big breakfast fan, but I'm a big fan of punny cards. So I really cracked up when I saw this set and wanted to use everything. I think sets like this work really well as gifts for card sets because they go so well together and you can make multiple cards with different images. For the next step, I use the second biggest die in the Lawn Fawn large stitched 4-bar rectangles to die cut a rectangle out of white cardstock, and this will go right on top of that craft panel that we had just stamped out. Here I'm using the MISTI to help me stamp all my images, and I'm stamping every image from the stamp set, and I'm using some multiples as well. For the multiples, I'm stamping the strawberry, avocado, and banana multiple times, and that's just because I had the idea of adding bunches, and so it wouldn't be just one small image. Especially the strawberry, it's so small that I wanted to add multiples of it just to fill up that space on the white cardstock. So for the coloring, I'm using Copic markers and I'm trying to keep it pretty simple. These images are pretty small generally, and so I'll just use 2 or 3 colors for each of the images, and sometimes for it I only use one. I don't see the need to use multiple colors when the images are so small. And I'll have all of the colors and all the dimensions for this card set listed down below and also on my blog post that will be found on the Pink and Main blog. And I think that all these images are really cute. I really like all the details, and I don't know if you can see, but they all have little faces, so it makes everything much more adorable. For the images itself, I'm trying to use the same colors spread out among all the images just so there's a cohesiveness with the card set as well. So I know that a lot of the colors are pretty standard, like bananas could be different colors, but I stuck with the traditional yellow. But for like the jars, I wanted to add a little pop of color, so I added blue and I incorporated the blue into the muffin wrapper. And I just wanted some pops of colors. Otherwise, it would be a lot of yellow and browns. And I decided that, the juice was going to be orange and the strawberries had that nice red. But yeah, I kept it pretty much with the standard colors. And I think that coloring these up all at the same time using about the same Copics really helped sped up the process. And I think the only added dimension that I really added was to the roll and the strip of bacon because I really wanted it to make it look like a crispy strip of bacon. So I added a bit of dimension there. But for everything else, I mean, the banana, I barely added any dimension just at the top and bottom. And I think for smaller images, it doesn't really matter. And plus, I think the sentiments are the main focus for this card set anyway, and I think that they're really, really funny. But once I do finish up all the coloring, I will use the coordinating dies to help cut these out. And of course, I have to go back a few times because I stamped out 5 bananas and 3 strawberries, and I only have one die for that. But because they're smaller, it runs through the machine very quickly. And for the bananas, I end up only using three, though I wanted it to be like a bunch of bananas, but I think it works out because the card panel is a little bit smaller since we're working with a 4 bar card base and a smaller rectangular white cardstock that has less space. So I think that that size really works for these images because they're a lot smaller. Once all the stamped images are die cut out, I want to arrange them so I know what's going where and how it looks with the sentiment. So once I do that and I'm happy with how it goes, I'm going to put these aside because I decided that there's so much white space on that white rectangle that I wanted to add additional pop of color to the card. And I do so by adding distressings to the white panel. And the die that I use adds some stitching around the border, so I wanted to mask that portion off, and I'm doing so with purple tape, which is reusable. I'll just wipe off the ink from the purple tape between uses, and that will remove the ink, and then I can reuse it. For some of them, I added a little bit of water just to pick up some of the distress ink, but I decided against doing so for a lot of them. I'm not doing anything special with the distress inks. I'm literally just adding color to the panel and keeping the color darker closer to the border and fading into the middle. I do the same with all the panels using different colors, so I'll just list the colors I use in the description bar. I think adding the distressing to the panel really brings these cards to life. When I arrange them to see how it looks again, I really like how it turned out. For all these images, I'm running them through my Xyron sticker maker. There are so many that I just didn't want to deal with liquid adhesive and the need to wait for them to dry. So this is a easy way of making stamped images into stickers, and I take advantage of it all the time. So I'll go ahead and adhere the small panel to the card front using an ATG gun. And I'm not super precise with this, and I think it's okay. And since it's all the same adhering card panels, I'm gonna go ahead and skip forward. For all the images that I ran through the Xyron sticker maker, I want to make sure that I varnish it and run something along the edges so the adhesive stays to the image. I use my Teflon bone folder to help me do this. Once all the images are ready to go, I'll go ahead and add them to their coordinating card base and add the coordinating sentiment to it. There's nothing very special here. I'm just adding the stamped image and then the sentiment. And I'll vary where the image is depending on the way that the image is facing. And just like that, I'll have 9 cards made. I'm also using one of the Misty corners to help me straighten out my sentiment. And I also realized there that a lot of my panels aren't on straight, but that's okay because it's barely noticeable. And I think that anyone who would receive this card set wouldn't mind. And I think that they would just be appreciative to receive a card set. And this is a set of 9, so it's a good amount of cards that one person is getting. I hope you didn't mind that I didn't show every single step, but the idea behind it can be implemented. I hope you enjoyed the video and this gave you a good idea for using a stamp set to create a simple set of cards. I'll be back soon with more videos for you, so come back soon. Bye!